Hello friends, welcome back and Merry Christmas. Today I've been baking, putting together gift baskets, and I wanted to share some of my favorite Christmas cookie recipes with you. And I also wanted to show you how I like to decorate sugar cookies. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so real quick, you'll find my recipes in the description box below, and I'm gonna use the miniature size cupcake liners, and we are gonna be making homemade peanut butter cups. So this is a simple recipe, turns out unbelievably good, tastes just like Reese's peanut butter cups, but yeah, and I would suggest use the kind of chocolate chips that you like. So I used semi-sweet mixed with bittersweet, but definitely use what kind you choose. So I'm gonna go ahead and melt some chocolate now that I've got my peanut butter made, and I'm gonna put a tablespoon in the bottom of each liner. And once I get that chocolate in there, I'm just gonna tap it lightly, and it's gonna cause the chocolate to spread evenly along the bottom and flatten out. And I'm going to use half a tablespoon of peanut butter, and the peanut butter is actually very thick, so I just scoop it out and then put some in the bottom or on top of that chocolate, and then add another tablespoon of chocolate on top. So if you needed more chocolate on top, go ahead and add however much you think is best. And they turn out perfect every time. So this one, when I cut into it, my peanut butter is crooked. It still tastes amazing though. So for my next batch of cookies, I'm gonna go ahead and melt some chocolate. And you'll notice that I'm adding shortening to that chocolate. It just gives it a lot more fluidity and makes it really shiny. And because I melted in the microwave, but I'm gonna go ahead and use the rest of that peanut butter and make some Ritz cookies. So a lady from church actually told me about these, and I looked up the recipe, and it's so simple. There really isn't a recipe. So I'm using the rest of my peanut butter, but you can use just regular peanut butter out of the jar and just make little Ritz sandwiches, and you just dip them in chocolate. So very simple. I would say, use tongs or something because it's a very messy job. But you just set those aside until that chocolate solidifies, and it's a nice little crunch inside. It's a salty and sweet snack, so those are super good. Next, I'm going to be sharing my famous coffee fudge recipe with you. It's not really that famous, it's just everyone asks for it. It's just a basic fudge recipe. And normally I just add coffee to it, but this year my pastor actually introduced me to espresso coffee chocolate chips, and that just made this, it just took this recipe over the top. So I'm gonna go ahead and prepare everything before my butter, sugar, and condensed milk comes to a boil. So I want it to come to a full rolling boil, and that means even stirring it isn't going to tame that boil down, and I'm going to let that go for 5 to 7 minutes. So you notice that I dripped some of that liquid into some water. That's because I'm testing to see if it's at the softball stage. That's where you want it, and I don't have a candy thermometer, so that's how you do it. So once it reaches that softball stage, I'm going to pull it off of that heat and add the remaining ingredients. And I like to add, you could add either hazelnut or vanilla flavor, or you could add a chocolate flavor to that if you wanted as well. But I usually use hazelnut for this recipe. And I add instant coffee, and at the end I'm gonna go ahead and add some double French roast right on top and kind of just slightly mix it in or press it into the very top right before I set it aside to dry. So this is one of those things that you do kind of have to work quickly because that chocolate's going to set up really quick. And yeah, you just want to have it in a container that you can get it out easily. And that's why I use wax paper. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna sprinkle on some double French roast ground coffee. And this isn't a step that you have to do. It's just a step that my husband likes and requests because it gives it just a little bit of a grittiness on the top of the fudge. And it's that strong coffee flavor, and he really likes that. So let's be real, it's just not Christmas without fudge. So next we're gonna go ahead and make some homemade oatmeal cream pie cookies. These are so soft and sweet and just amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix my dry ingredients and set those aside. And in a separate bowl, I'm going to go ahead and mix up my wet ingredients. And I'm just going to like very loosely mix these things together, just get them quickly blended up. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my hand blender. So you could put these in a mixer if you wanted. I just prefer to reach for my hand blender. I don't know. Does anybody else do that? I just don't find that I use my mixer a lot except for certain things. So anyway, sidetracked there. I'm gonna add a cup of raisins and a half a cup of water in the food processor, and I don't want that into a puree, but just lightly blended together. And I'm gonna fold it into the wet ingredients. That's gonna give your cookies a little bit of a chewiness to them. And then I'm gonna go ahead and mix the wet and the dry together. And last, I'm gonna cut up a couple of maraschino cherries and add those. So you do want your cookies around the same size, so because you're gonna be making sandwiches out of them. So once I get those in the oven, I'm gonna go ahead and make my filling. So I will say this filling is going to feel like you're gonna need to add more liquid to it while you're mixing it, but don't. It just feels like that. Once you get it worked through and got it mixed, it's the right consistency for this filling. So don't be tempted to add more liquid to it. It comes out just right. So it's the marshmallow cream that's making it seem that way. So you want to pull your cookies out when they're still just a little bit soft, not quite done. And you're going to add your filling and top it with another cookie. And these are so good when they're warm out of the oven. So next we're going to make some Oreo truffles. My husband requests these every year. He loves them, and they are the most simple things to make. So I've added my cookies, an entire box of cookies, generally around 36 to 39 cookies, into the food processor. You can break them up however you choose, with a full package of cream cheese, whatever kind of cream cheese you want. And you're going to end up having to use your hands because it's a thick mixture. And you're just going to press the mixture together and roll it into a ball, whatever size you feel best. And then you're going to coat them. Now, I've used a full package of white almond bark, and I've just heated it up in the microwave. And you do want to do that slowly because you don't want your white chocolate to be overcooked. It's better to mix extra than to heat extra, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and use 2 forks to coat these, and this is a messy job, I will warn you. And once I get all those coated, I'm going to set them aside to solidify, and I'm going to give them a second coat because you can see here that they're just a little bit gray or dark looking, and I want them bright white, so I'm adding a second coat. I did have some chocolate left over, so I'm just going to put that in a piping bag and drizzle some chocolate over these. But you could sprinkle on a little bit of crushed cookie if you wanted on top while the almond bark is still wet. You could sprinkle on crushed candy cane or anything that you think would look pretty. Sprinkles or, whatever you choose. These are addictive though, I warn you. Okay, so next I am just decorating cookies. I personally like to watch people decorate cookies because I get ideas for how to decorate mine. So I just thought I would share this with you. I actually got all of my cookies at Walmart. They're pre-made, so all you got to do is make your royal icing, and I would definitely suggest royal icing because it's the only icing that's going to dry completely. You could actually stack your cookies and it's not going to mess up the icing. So yeah, you just gotta make your icing and get to the fun part, and that's decorating. So as you can see, I'm using a toothpick to move the icing where I want it, and I always outline everything first and then kind of squiggle a little bit of icing in the middle, and then I'll just use a toothpick to kind of smooth it out and blend it everywhere. And you may even see me tap the cookie slightly. You don't want to tap your cookies hard because you don't want to break them, but if you lightly tap the cookie, it's going to cause your icing to flood those areas equally and flatten out so it's a nice smooth finish. Okay, so you may have noticed that I'm using a bottle for the white icing, and I actually prefer those bottles to piping bags and tips. I just find they work so much easier for icing. And I got those at Walmart, and I plan on getting some more of those because I have a couple of them and they are just so good. Perfect for piping icing on versus a bag. If you guys are enjoying this, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'd love to get to know you better. And also let me know what your favorite kind of cookie is to make during the holidays. Leave it in the comments below. Okay, there are the sugar cookies, and I hope it's okay that I didn't talk through there. I feel like I'm talking too much and I didn't want to just rattle on. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to the ugly sweater cookies from Walmart. I think they're so cute. So if you get them, you do want to kind of clean the edges up a little bit, and then they're ready to decorate. So I'm just going to do the same thing and be quiet and let you watch. Okay, I wanted to let you know the sprinkles that I'm using actually came in this ugly sweater cookie kit, and because they do give you icing and sprinkles. Now I'm not using the icing because I think it's too thick, but the sprinkles are so cute. There's little gingerbread men, little snowflakes, little Christmas trees, little holly berries and holly leaves, and yes, it's a little bit tedious to put each little tiny sprinkle on there, but they are just so cute. And this is actually a really relaxing activity. You may remember I just recently did a video with my sister, my niece, and my friend and her daughter. They all came over and we decorated cookies together. And that was just such a fun activity to do together. But it's just as fun to do alone, just watching a Christmas movie or listening to Christmas music. So, or, watching on YouTube. So, yeah, I want to know how many of you guys have tried decorating these and found them difficult to decorate. I did. They were a little bit difficult. I kind of followed the pattern on the box. On some of the cookies, but did kind of venture out to be creative on my own. But it was definitely fun. I was up for the challenge of decorating a sweater. It's a new cookie style that I'm not used to decorating, and it was really, really fun. Okay, I did want to just mention real quick, because I'm sure somebody's going to ask. I wanted my cookies to look perfect, and that's why I was taking such time, because I'm giving them as gifts and putting them in gift baskets, and I wanted them to look as best I could, that I was capable of doing. So in case anybody was wondering, I'm not just decorating these for myself at home to eat. Okay, this was super fun. I really enjoyed it. Here's a couple more of the sugar cookies, how they turned out, and my ugly sweater cookies. Those were so fun. They were a little tricky, like I said, because I'm not used to decorating those, but so much fun. So I'm very happy with how everything turned out this year. I did a couple of different cookies than I normally would have and left out some I would have normally made, but definitely enjoyed myself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and of course I hope you're having a great day, and I do hope you have a very Merry Christmas. I'll see you next time.